What's up, people? Christian Hannah Horror here. This is it. This is the video of the game room. And here's the thing: there's a lot more horror in here than you might expect. So I'm just doing a little intro. So let me give you a quick background. Growing up, I was always a video game kid. I liked retro games. I like games on the Super Nintendo. I like games on the classic Nintendo. I played Sega. My dad used to always seem to get me Sega systems for birthdays and stuff. I remember he got me a Saturn in '98 when I was a kid, and I loved it, and the Sega Dreamcast and things like that. And this was a passion of mine, just retro 2D and 32-bit, 64-bit, and lower video gaming. And I love it. And there's a lot more horror in here than you think, and we're gonna get to that. But I just wanted to intro this real quick and let you know. I just painted these walls. Me and Cindy did. We put a lot of work in here, and it's nothing too crazy, but I think it's worth showing, and I think it's really cool, and I'm proud of it. So without further ado, let's check out the game room. Okay, so this is what happens. You walk in the door right here, and I can see we've still got blue tape on here from when we painted. We went with this hunter green. The color is actually called Country Club, and I love it. I love green. It's one of my favorite colors. I have a lot. So as you can see up here is the Ghostbusters shrine. And let's take a look at this. And I just love Ghostbusters. It's one of my favorite movies. Obviously, it's a classic. Sydney's more of the Slimer guy, or the Slimer fan, and which I love Slimer. And but I was always I like the Stay Puft. And then we got one right there. The NECA 2004, which is actually pretty rare. And this is the Diamond Select Giant. This thing stands at like 18 inches or something. It's huge. And I've got two Laserdiscs. I've got Ghostbusters on Laserdisc right here, and I've got Ghostbusters 2. So once you walk in the room, you'll see that. And then this is the television I've got here. It's a Sony 25-inch Triniton. It's got really nice speakers on it, actually. And let's see the game systems I have hooked up. I have more game systems, but not all of them are hooked up. Real quick, this is an old Nintendo chest. They had these back in the day. Don't know where they sold them, how they sold them. I got one off eBay a long time ago. Here's a couple boxed games I have. You look at those. Some of you might be interested in that. So let's take a look at the setup. We've got the Nintendo 64. This is a clear gray with actually one of the rarest video games on the Nintendo 64, Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, which is pretty cool. I'll never get rid of that. This is a Super Nintendo, and this is the mini Super Nintendo that got released right about the time the 64 came out. I have a regular one, but the mini one's so cool. So my brother, this is his, and he is in the military now. So I take care of it, and I use this thing all the time. I love it. In here, let me just have a seat right here on my coffee table, is the next shelf. We have a PS1. These came out right at the end of the life of the PlayStation. So that's pretty cool. Here's a turbo controller for Nintendo, and here is a Nintendo. One of the greatest systems, and it looks like we were playing Battletoads, so we'll look at my game shelf in a minute. Okay, this is the Sega shelf. I am a Sega fanboy. I always loved Sega. The Genesis is probably my favorite system ever. This is a Sega Master System. If you don't know what this is, especially the people that are watching my channel that are horror fans, I assume that some of you are probably video game fans. This was the Sega's Nintendo, so to speak. This was their 8-bit system. Graphic-wise, it's pretty equivalent to a regular Nintendo. So this was kind of the competition, even though this dominated in the market. This was, 1%. And this was in probably 1% of every home, and this was probably in 90% of every home at the time as far as video games in '85. So the classic Nintendo was the winner. And here is got the 3 Sega systems. I got a Sega Saturn. This was their 32-bit system. This was out around the 64 and the PlayStation era, and this is a really cool system. Got some really cool games on here. Unfortunately, it's very expensive to collect for. Here's my Sega Genesis. I have a Sega CD and 32X. Don't really have any games for them, and my CD doesn't really work anymore. As you can see, I was playing Sonic and Knuckles with the... You could take Sonic the Hedgehog 2, put it in here, and play as Knuckles on Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Pretty cool. I love my Sega Genesis. One of my favorite, probably my favorite machine in the world. And I just picked up, not too long ago, pretty cheap for $30, a Sega Dreamcast. Looking to get back into that. I want to get the Sonic Adventure games. Really cool system. Unappreciated at its time. Just came out too early, but it was a great machine. So that's the systems I have hooked up. Under here is some, I have a ColecoVision under there, an Atari 2600. you know, things like that. I just don't really play them much anymore. Okay, so once you're in here, here's a little coffee table. As you can see, me and Sydney were Sega Genesis, doing some Sega Genesis last night. So I've shown you the Ghostbuster Shrine. You got the game set up here. You also got a DVD player and a VHS player. And I'll show you why I have that in here. So let's come over here to the first shelf. This is the Nintendo shelf, mostly, and then there's Sega Genesis games down there. Up here, we've got 2 original Donkey Kong figures, which is kind of cool, and my Virtual Boy. That is a Nintendo Virtual Boy. I have the original box with it and everything. I got a couple games for it. That's Wario's Land in there, I think. If it's not too much trouble, I'll get it out. Yeah. Got Wario Land in there, and then obviously the system comes with Mario Tennis. Cool little history on that system. Didn't sell well. I think it lasted all of 4 months in production. Was canceled. Look into those things if you want to, if you're interested. It tries to be virtual reality, but not exactly. Okay, so here's the Nintendo shelf, and as you see, a couple more box games right there. Don't really go to my way to get box games anymore. I used to try to, but it gets really expensive. So I've got a little 8-bit Link that you can turn on, and it looks better at night, obviously. But here's where some horror comes in. I'm a big fan of games like this, Castlevania, classic. Nightmare on Elm Street on Nintendo, Friday the 13th. We got Jaws here. I'll just kind of pan over here and let you guys look. Some of the games we got. Go to this next shelf. Just picked this up a while back. Monster Party. It's kind of cool. Just more Nintendo games. Ghostbusters 2 up there. Some pretty cool stuff. Down here, as you can see, this is the NES top loader. The reason I don't use this is while this is a sought after piece, this is a Nintendo that you put the games on top, and it's licensed. The reason I don't use this is because you can't plug it up audio video. You can only plug it up coaxial, and that cuts down on the sound and picture quality. So I use the original because it does have audio video. There's a little Mega Man. He does the same thing. He lights up. So he's pretty cool. Just more Nintendo games right here. And one more shelf worth of Nintendo games. And down here, we've got Atari 2600 games. I think a couple ColecoVisions. Yeah, a couple ColecoVisions right there. Donkey Kong Jr. Nothing too crazy. The coveted E.T. And here is loose Genesis games. I got Sonic 3 right there. Got some pretty cool games. One of the more expensive games I have for the Genesis is a very fun game. The Ninja Turtles Hyperstone Heist. I used to have the box with this, but the box got destroyed in Hurricane Katrina. Luckily, I was able to keep the game. That was their Turtles in Time, you know. Hyperstone Heist and Turtles in Time is basically the same game, just a little bit different. They're both excellent. I actually prefer the Hyperstone Heist. Turtles in Time is a little too long for my taste, but you know they're both classics. I got a couple shelves up here, little floating shelves. I've got some 8-bit figures. Ryu, Freddy Krueger from the NES game, and the Joker. And over here's a little Sonic the Hedgehog shelf. You know, pretty cool. And here are some boxed Genesis games. Got some pretty cool ones. Battletoads and Double Dragon is kick-ass. Got Booger Man, fun stuff. RoboCop versus Terminator. Love RoboCop. Always been a huge RoboCop fan. Castlevania Bloodlines. Man, this is a great game. Started to get a little expensive online too, so I'm really glad to have that. Got, let's see, Ninja Turtle Tournament Fighter. That's a fun game. Clay Fighter, Mortal Kombat 3. Let's see what else I got. This game, Splatterhouse 3. I had to make a fake... I got the game in here, but I had to make a fake case for it because it was so nice. I just couldn't leave it loose. This game is very, very scary. It's really genuinely scary, even for a game bet. The artwork in there is so creepy. Some more box games. Got Ghostbusters on Sega Genesis. Terminator 2, Alien 3. Streets of Rage 2. I just got this a while back. This game is awesome. This game is so fun. Streets of Rage 2. Street Fighter 2 Champion Edition. I've got all kinds of... Okay, here's something really cool I think you guys are going to like. If anybody's still sticking around. These are 2 of the first horror movie video games ever made. Got these being a huge horror fan, and I've shown these off before. This is Halloween on the Atari 2600. How insane is that? And then here is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the Atari 2600. Just insane. I lucked out. Sydney got me this one for Christmas, and I lucked out like 4 years ago. Found a guy selling a lot of Atari games online, and this was in there, and he didn't realize what he had. These games were going for, you know, pretty good bit of money, because obviously they're hard to find, and, you know, they're so old, so that's pretty awesome. Here's the 2 little chairs. I need to get better furniture in here one day, but it works. So, and over here, we've got some Ninja Turtle stuff. Sydney did a lot of the decorating in here. If it was, you know, if I did it, it would just be a mess. So she's much better at this kind of deal than me. Got a lot of Game Boy games over here. This is all Game Boy games. I've got a pretty baller collection of Game Boy games. You see, I got like Mega Man and, you know, Ninja Turtles 2. A lot of good games. I've got Metroid and all that in here. Check this out. I've actually got Battletoads on Nintendo Game Boy. You know, I got the Zelda game. I've got, you know, all the good games. All the good games on Game Boy, I got it. You know, Metroid. It's got Metroid 2. This is Sydney's right here, Pokemon. So pretty cool stuff. A few Game Boy Color games. These are Sydney's. I never really kept up the Game Boy Color. A lot of these games I got in the last 10 years. A lot of my game collection was gone in the Hurricane Katrina. Here's some original Game Boys. I've got the see-through one. That's pretty awesome. And these are, you know, the regular white ones. Pokemon Game Boys, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Camera. You know, and down here I got some Sega CD games. I've got the really incredible. Yeah, I got a phone call just a minute ago. So going on, we got some pretty cool Sega Saturn games. Love to build on this collection. Unfortunately, like I said, it's hard to get good titles for this. And they're expensive to collect for, but I do have Nights into Dreams, one of the most incredibly beautiful games. It's so fun. A couple PS2 games, some PlayStation games. I got Sega GT on Dreamcast. It's the only game I have for it right now. Some more box Nintendo games. There's a couple more Genesis games. Really cool. I'm a huge Stallone fan. I got Rambo on the Sega Master System, and I've actually got Rocky on the Sega Master System. Pretty cool. Love Rambo and Rocky. Nintendo Power magazines. Got Sonic right there, and I've actually got Sonic 2 Game Gear in the box, and there's my Game Gear games. So over here is like a cool little Nintendo playing cart deal. These were back in the late 80s. Really cool. These are kind of collectible too. They're hard to find. As far as I'm concerned with it, I really could never really get my eyes on too many of them. The one time I did, I snatched it up. And I'll show you, this is the closet. This is where I keep, you know, controllers. It's kind of messy in here, excuse me. Controllers and stuff, but there's some actually pretty cool horror stuff in here. There's a Chucky doll. And I've actually got this Freddy Krueger, the Freddy game, Nightmare on Elm Street. One day I'll have to pull that out and show you guys. I've never played it because you got to have a, you know, multiple number of people to play it. So there's just a bunch of, you know, toys and the power pad and controllers and stuff down here. And some VHS. I used to collect VHS and I kind of got out of it, but I got a minuscule little mini collection of VHS in here. There's some Sega Genesis posters, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and that Booger Man I love. And this is a couple horror VHS, Halloween 3. That's a beta tape, Nightmare on Elm Street 2. So, this is Japanese, Friday the 13th Part 5, beta of Part 5. Some more, Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, Night of the Living Dead, I love that. You know, some pretty cool stuff. So, that's it guys, I thought you'd like it. That's the game room. So like I said, it's not the most extravagant thing you'll ever see in your life, but I'm pretty proud of it. It's nice and comfortable. It's my dog's bed in there. So, that's it. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And, who knows, maybe we'll do some videos in here just for a different bit of scenery. Who knows? Maybe we'll talk about, you know, Nightmare on Elm Street. Would you guys like that? Would you like me to review this game and talk about it? Maybe show a little gameplay of it? Let me know. Alright, Christian Hanna Horror. We will see y'all next time. Thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it.